CBS Sports HQ, we have been waiting forever, and now our NFL insider Jonathan Jones confirming it. Aaron Rodgers will be a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. According to JJ, he plans to sign a one-year deal with the Steelers ahead of next week's veteran mandatory minicamp. The wait is over. Future Hall of Famer, according to JJ, will now officially continue his career in Pittsburgh. There's so much to dive into here, so let's bring on two of the best. We're going to have a lot of experts to break this down here. Pete Prisco, Bryant McFadden. Pete, I mean, we have been waiting for I don't even know how long for this to get done. I guess your reaction now that JJ says you're praying to the football gods, it is official.
Yeah, and it's official, and it should have been official a long time ago. But you know, look, Rodgers does things on his own timetable. He's going to get in there before the start of minicamp, which is the smart thing to do. He can spend the month and a half learning the offense, and he'll be just fine. I'm not worried about that. And by the way, Rodgers played well in the second part of the season last year. In the final 7 games, he threw 13 touchdown passes and 4 picks. He finished the season with 28, tying Josh Allen. That's more than Patrick Mahomes. That's more than Jaden Daniels. That's more than Justin Herbert. It's more than a lot of quarterbacks last year. So Pittsburgh, desperate to get a quarterback. They found their guy, one-year deal, makes all the sense in the world, and they had to do it.
I echo everything you laid out for us, Pete. I think the most annoying part was the waiting game. But I know, Pete, we've been going back and forth with this potential Aaron Rodgers-Pittsburgh Steelers relationship, and we both said the same thing. The way they went about their business, I'm talking about the organization with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the way they went about this Aaron Rodgers courtship, it felt like they knew he would eventually sign with them. It was just when he was ready to do so. And I'm okay, because to your point, minicamp is right around the corner. He's already stated he will participate in minicamp. He will have every opportunity to be as acclimated with this new offense as possible as they get ready for training camp. And he's a better quarterback option than the current quarterbacks they currently have on the roster as we see it today. So this makes all the sense in the world for either side, especially if you're Aaron Rodgers and you want to play one more year. This is a team that wanted you the most. They will give you a starting opportunity, and they still potentially could add another veteran receiver to the offense to improve the wide receiving unit as we see it right now, which Aaron Rodgers probably would love also.
So, B-Mac, let me ask you this. From a former player's perspective, taking a look at the locker room perspective and how he fits in with his team, I mean, as both of you said, it has been very annoying waiting this long for him to make a decision. And if I'm on that team, like, I wouldn't know who my quarterback is. Since he will be there before mandatory minicamp, all of this other hubbub leading up to it, if he shows up, if he's with the team, if he does the preseason games, can we wash all of that under the rug and start anew come the first game of the season?
Amanda, I think that is washed under the rug right now.
Okay.
Because if I was a veteran player playing on the defensive side, hearing about this Aaron Rodgers, Pittsburgh Steelers relationship and not seeing anything come to fruition, no question you will feel some type of way. But hearing the news now is like, oh, let's go. Now you're excited. Now you're excited because he will be there in terms of anything mandatory. That's important. He's willing to be there because I feel like, Pete, Amanda, if Aaron Rodgers wanted to wait until mid-July, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers would have been okay in doing so. But he's saying he's making it known today so he can be there on the grass with the guys for minicamp. So if you're a veteran player, no question, you felt some type of way, but that is thrown out of the window knowing he's made it known that he will be a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's ready to get on the grass and try to put his hand in the plow to hoist the Sticky Lombardi.
Well, I mean, they spent the entire offseason watching Hamburger Helper play quarterback, and now they're getting filet mignon. So, of course, they're happy about it. I mean, if you saw Mason Rudolph and Will Howard were going to be your quarterbacks, and you know that they weren't going to win games. They just were not going to win football games. Mike Tomlin's streak of not having a losing season was over if they play with those guys. They all knew it. The players knew it. They were waiting on Rodgers. Rodgers comes in there. All of a sudden now they're rejuvenated. And once you walk into the building, you're part of the team, and he comes in with skins on the wall. If he was just a guy that didn't have a Super Bowl, didn't have MVPs, not the same thing. But he comes in and commands the room right away. They need not worry about that at all. They finally have a quarterback.
Pete, I've been searching, and unfortunately, I have not been able to Google fast enough your off-season grades for the Steelers. Do you remember what they gave them or what you would give them?
Well, I mean, look, they trading away Pickens, they had to do it because he didn't fit in with what they wanted to do. Getting Metcalf, they probably gave up too much, but now we know why they did it, because they were going to trade away Pickens. So, look, they've made some good moves in the offseason, but none of it would have mattered if they weren't going to have Rodgers playing quarterback. And now they have him, and it all matters. And now all of a sudden that division's a whole heck of a lot tougher. When you look at the division as a whole, it was the Ravens and the Bengals, and then the other two teams were at the bottom. Well, now, if Rodgers plays like he did down the stretch, the Steelers are now in that equation as well. That's what Rodgers has done for the Steelers. They knew it. That's why they were patient and waited.
B-Mac, how do you think he's fitting into the roster where it stands now for the Steelers?
I think he will fit in rather nicely because he's walking into a situation where, yes, they need him at the quarterback position, but this is already has been known to be a prestigious organization. Remember when he went to the New York Jets 2 years ago? He instantly became the biggest figure in the building, a part of that team since we've seen in quite some time. When he goes to Pittsburgh in the facilities there on the south side, you're not the biggest personality in the building. That's an organization, and when you walk up to the second floor, you make that right off the elevator, you make that next left, you walk around the roundabout, you see 6 glossy, shiny, sticky Lombardis. That's already there. The Jets didn't have that. They've been clawing and reaching and wanting for some type of relevant success. The Pittsburgh Steelers, granted, postseason-wise over the last few years, Pete, they've been below average, but they still have history and tradition when you talk about winning trophies. So Aaron Rodgers understands that, not to mention there's been a mutual football love between Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin. And with that football love, there's a mutual respect for both sides as well. I think that will actually help Aaron Rodgers fit in rather nicely, understanding and knowing this is an organization that has an abundance of tradition, history, and he respects and he loves Mike Tomlin.
All right, so both of you guys so far, thumbs up on all of this, but it has to turn into success. When he went to the Jets, it was, this is going to be, they're going to get to the Super Bowl, they're going to get to the postseason, they're going to do well. That obviously did not happen. There's a reason that Aaron Rodgers is now with the Steelers. When you look at these two rosters, Pete, can he find success with this Steelers team that he didn't with this Jets team that was, when you first looked at it, very talented?
Well, they can be a playoff team. I don't think they can be a Super Bowl team with him right now. I just don't like the Steelers the way they're constructed. Remember, this is a team, when you look at them on the surface, what have they done well over the course of their history? They've run the ball, they've played good defense, they've rushed the passer. Well, they didn't do a lot of that last year, any of it, in fact, and that was a problem. So unless they take major strides forward running the ball, take major strides forward getting the quarterback on the ground, I think there's going to be some problems. But they will be better. They'll have a winning record. They'll probably win 9 games and maybe sneak into the playoffs. But as far as a Super Bowl contender, absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have to be real with this segment. I don't legit see the Pittsburgh Steelers as a Super Bowl contender, but being competitive and finding a way to get into the playoffs, that's what you want. And I'll caveat, and I'll go back to what you said, Pete, in terms of the comparison of the New York Jets roster, offensive roster in 2024 compared to what we see the Pittsburgh Steelers roster being right now. I would say the Pittsburgh Steelers potentially could have a better offensive line unit. We must remember their first-round pick a year ago in Fontenot missed the entire season, didn't play 1 snap. They were really, really hyped about his potential, but because of the injury, we didn't get a chance to see exactly what he can do. He's back in the fold. Moving Broderick Jones to his original left side should actually help his development and his consistency. So if the offensive line, especially having 2 bookend tackles, can really play well, good football, that actually helps the quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. To your point, the last 6-7 ball games for the New York Jets, he was one of the biggest bright spots on their team. Not to mention, they're still is money left for the Pittsburgh Steelers to add more arsenal to the offense. If I'm Omar Khan, Pete, Amanda, I'm seeing exactly which wide receivers are available that we can add to this team, because you had George Pickens for a short stint with DK Metcalf. You moved on for George Pickens. You still can utilize an experienced wide receiver to pair up with DK Metcalf along with everything else they have already offensively. I think that would be the move to go push all the marbles in the middle of the table, because you have Aaron Rodgers for 1 year. You got to make it count.
Okay, so let's take a look at the AFC North and just kind of give us a prediction for next year. Obviously, the Ravens won that division. They went 12-5. The Steelers ended up 10-7 last year. They lost in the wild card round to the Ravens. Ironically enough, they're going to be facing the Jets week 1. Pete, schedule prediction, record prediction, division prediction for the Steelers now with Aaron Rodgers.
They'll win 9 games. I don't see this team winning more than 9 games. Like I said, I think when you look at that division, the 2 best teams are the Ravens and the Bengals. I think that'll play out that way. They're going to be tough. But the Steelers are going to be feisty week in and week out, just like they always are. Getting Rodgers gives them a legitimate quarterback who can throw the football. I just think they have flaws at other spots that will show up. I think they're a 9-win team, maybe sneak into the postseason.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I see realistically 9 or 10 wins. But either case, with those numbers, they could be a playoff caliber team. You just got to get consistency at the quarterback position. And that's something they haven't had in a long, long time. Defensively, we always feel like they will be more than a serviceable unit. But what happened a year ago, because of how flat the offense became, it put more pressure on the defense. They were not able to withstand that said pressure. But if their offense comes out with the resurgence that we think they could have with Aaron Rodgers along with DK Metcalf and with whatever other move they would like to make, it actually helps the defense. And one thing we know about Mike Tomlin when it comes to playing AFC North opponents, he's shown the ability to win and beat teams like Baltimore, Cincinnati, with whoever the quarterback has been. One would think that should improve his chances in being relevant in the division, having a healthy, motivated Aaron Rodgers.
Pete, final question. Aaron Rodgers, 41 years old. We've been talking about retirement for the past couple of years, getting toward the age that Tom Brady was when he retired, unretired, then retired again. Does it depend on his success this season? If he decides to retire in the next couple of years or at the end of this one, how are you looking at the duration of his career from now on?
I think how he plays will decide if he continues to play. Look, if he goes out and plays like he did down the stretch last year when he threw 13-4 in the final 7 games, I think he plays. If he goes out there and he's not close to being what he was, which is what we saw early last season when he was coming off the Achilles injury, then I think he might hang it up. But I think this season will be, his future seasons are going to be predicated on how well he plays this year. Hey, he once told me about it, it was maybe 8-9 years ago. He goes, 40's now the new 30 playing quarterback in the NFL. He was talking about Tom Brady at the time. Well, you know what? Here he is. He's trying to play as a 30-year-old right now.
Pete Prisco, Brian McFadden, we appreciate it. We can all take a collective sigh of relief that this is about to be done. But I'm sure when he signs the contract, then we're going to have to do this all over again. But for now, take a deep breath. Pushing the Pile, our NFL podcast with Kyle Long, Mike Renner. Pete Prisco's on there. Brian McFadden's on there as well. I'm sure we'll get a breaking news pod on this. You can watch or listen. Coming up, so exactly how did this deal go down? Was it already in the works and we just didn't know about it? We were waiting for Aaron Rodgers to sign it. Our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, joins us on the other side with some of those answers.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Someone targeted our daughter.
What are we going to do about it? I've got an idea.
Let's go.
NCIS, Tony and Ziva streaming this fall on Paramount Plus.
One of the best movies of the year is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
What are we dealing with here?
There's a hostage situation.
Get the crew in.
It's gripping from beginning to end.
We can't make one mistake.
September 5, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
The most original musical ever is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I'm just giving the people what they want.
Better Man absolutely sizzles from start to finish. Better Man, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is Chicago. Street's always gonna have a villain.
To protect the city, we have to do something. Women, it's time to get to work.
The Shot, new season streaming May 16th, only on the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan.
These are the voyages of the Patrick Starship Enterprise.
Where's the sponge?
Weird dream.
Whether you like SpongeBob, Star Trek, or both, find your mountain on Paramount Plus.
Hi. Novocaine?
Novocaine!
Novocaine is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You're gonna love this.
Oh, you're strong!
It's wildly entertaining and an absolute blast.
I'm in.
Novocaine, rated R, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I wasn't ready to die.
The wait is over.
I need to know what happened.
Discover the mystery everyone's been talking about. School Spirits, every episode of all seasons now streaming on Paramount Plus.
What's he like? The happy-faced killer?
You mean my dad? Be glad you never have to know.
You think that you're so much better than me. You're just like your old man.
I'm not like you at all.
Problem solved.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Mobland, new series now streaming on Paramount Plus.
She knows, and I know she knows.
Breaking news, the wait is over. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. That, according to our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, the news making its way around the NFL universe right now. We have waited for a very long time since he was released from the Jets to decide what is going to be the future of Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to play? Is he going to retire? We honed in on the Steelers, and then it was, when is he going to sign? Is he going to sign? So let's bring in our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, here to break down exactly what went down. So a lot of us on this side, JJ, obviously you're an insider, you get a little bit more information. We were twiddling our thumbs, we were getting frustrated, we're having to talk about the Steelers, their season, not knowing who the quarterback's going to be. What was going on behind the scenes?
Well, look, you're going to hear a lot about soft deadlines, and really the real true deadline was the start of training camp, right? Once you start getting into that mid to late July point where the Steelers need their QB1 there. And I want to be clear about something. The Pittsburgh Steelers always felt very comfortable and confident that ultimately Aaron Rodgers would sign with the team, but I don't think that they had any assurances of when that would take place. You talk with folks there, and they would have hoped that it would have happened certainly before now. But the fact is, it is happening now, and it is happening just ahead of their veteran mandatory minicamp. And so you go back to when Aaron Rodgers visited the team back in March, and he let them know straight up, hey, I don't know about my future. I don't know what's going on. There are personal things in my life that are taking precedence right now. But it was my understanding that the Steelers left that meeting with Aaron Rodgers believing that ultimately things would get ironed out and that he would be their quarterback of the future. Of course, publicly, they played it cool. They said, hey, we're moving forward with the folks who are here. We're going to talk about the people who are here. But in the background, there was constant communication. I think Aaron Rodgers has more or less admitted that in his public speaking appearances. And so both sides were of the understanding of what was going on. And so now, just ahead of mandatory minicamp, get in some good work, get the playbook. Everyone gets out there on the field, and you can really kind of chart the course for the next couple of weeks until you get to training camp. And so, again, all's well that ends well. The Steelers believed they were going to get Aaron Rodgers for this season, and now we know they will have Aaron Rodgers as QB1.
How much did Aaron Rodgers really have a choice in where he was going?
There weren't many places that needed Aaron Rodgers or would have really wanted Aaron Rodgers when you consider sort of the off the field, the baggage that comes along with Rodgers. I mean, look, you go back to the draft, and there weren't that many teams that really even needed a quarterback going into the draft. There were really just 3 teams that you could more or less confidently say did not have their starting quarterback on the roster once the first round of the draft began. And that was the Tennessee Titans. We know, of course, they took Cam Ward #1 overall. You check the box there. You had the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr had not retired. They didn't have the money for Aaron Rodgers. He didn't want to go there. They didn't really want him. They draft Tyler Shuck in the 2nd round. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers, who on day 3 go out and get Will Howard in the draft, already had Mason Rudolph. I asked Mike Tomlin at the league meetings if he felt comfortable with Mason Rudolph potentially being QB1 to start the season. He said, yes, absolutely. He wouldn't be on the team otherwise, was more or less what Tomlin had to say. But all the while, they knew and understood that they had a very good shot of having Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback, in large part because of the relationship, but also, again, there weren't that many other places for Aaron Rodgers to go.
JJ, looking at the division, we had Pete Prisco and Bryant McFadden on, and they said, yes, this is a great situation. Finally, they're getting a quarterback. They needed a quarterback. But in regards to the postseason, to the division, Pete said, look, I still think the Ravens, the Bengals are better than the Steelers. You know, maybe the Steelers can make it to the postseason. They're definitely not a Super Bowl team. And what is the feeling now, right now, or what do you think that they can compete like in this division?
Well, when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, I don't think that any other team in that division really measures up to the Ravens as it stands right now. The Bengals have to be entirely healthy in order to be on that tier, right? I mean, they were a drop pass in the end zone away from potentially being 1 game away from the Super Bowl. And so, yeah, I would put certainly the Ravens up there. And then you're going to duke it out between the Bengals and the Steelers. I don't dislike this Steelers roster as much as some people do. I was listening to Brian McFadden talk earlier, talking about the offensive line and how I think you certainly could argue it is a better offensive line today than where you felt 365 days ago with it. At wide receiver, look, George Pickens, it wasn't going to work in Pittsburgh anymore. And I think I said when it was breaking news the day that he got dealt to Dallas that there were no tears in Pittsburgh, that he was no longer there. They signed DK Metcalf. I do believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to add at the pass-catching position, be that at wide receiver or at tight end. They've been making calls. They'll continue to make calls, whether something happens this upcoming week or over June and July or once you get into training camp. We'll see. But I don't think that the group of pass catchers that they have today will be the group of pass catchers that they have when we get to week 1, when the Pittsburgh Steelers face the New York Jets against Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers' old team, right? That rematch that the league office kind of thought maybe it would happen, but didn't put all of their marbles there. That game, of course, will be on CBS. But when you talk about the postseason, this is a Pittsburgh Steelers franchise that has not had the postseason success it enjoyed more than really probably a decade ago. And so they have to rekindle that. Aaron Rodgers wants more success in January. There's a reason that he's coming back at 41, going on 42 years old. And I don't think it's just because he wants to chase a check, a 1-year contract. He doesn't need the money. I know he wants that postseason success that really has eluded him for the better part of a decade.
Really quickly, JJ, last question here. You mentioned maybe another receiver that the Steelers are going to need. No more George Pickens. They do have DK Metcalf. Any other immediate moves or moves that we can expect before the season begins?
Yeah, I certainly want to look at pass catcher, whether that's receiver or tight end. And so whoever may come available, if you're the Steelers right now, you're making offers to teams, but you're probably lowballing them. Teams aren't really interested in making those moves right now if it is a lowball offer. The other one that you just have to keep an eye out for is TJ Watt and his contract situation. If they're going to make him one of the highest paid players in NFL history who's not a quarterback, they're probably fairly far apart right now, and that is something that can drag on into training camp. So we'll see about that. I know that's not affecting Aaron Rodgers and the offense, but it certainly can affect this team when your best player may not be on the field due to contract disputes once we get to training camp.
JJ, we appreciate it. All the times we have asked you, when is this going to get done? And you just had to wait along with us. The papers, keep in mind, not signed yet. Expected to be signed within the week. And Aaron Rodgers will be there for mandatory training camp coming up. CBS Sports HQ, keep it right here for the very latest on the NFL. Coming up, okay, fantasy people. Do you draft Aaron Rodgers? What about DK Metcalf? What does that do to his value? We'll bring on our fantasy experts next.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns and an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Someone targeted our daughter.
What are we going to do about it? I've got an idea.
Let's go.
NCIS, Tony and Ziva streaming this fall on Paramount Plus.
One of the best movies of the year is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
What are we dealing with here?
There's a hostage situation.
Get the crew in.
It's gripping from beginning to end.
We can't make one mistake.
September 5, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
The most original musical ever is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I'm just giving the people what they want.
Better Man absolutely sizzles from start to finish. Better Man, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is Chicago. Streets always gonna have a villain.
To protect the city, we have to do something. Women, it's time to get to work.
The Shot, new season streaming May 16th, only on the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan.
These are the voyagers of the Patrick Starship Enterprise.
Where's the sponge?
We're dream.
Whether you like SpongeBob, Star Trek, or both, find your mountain on Paramount Plus.
Hi. Novocaine?
Novocaine!
Novocaine is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You're gonna love this.
Oh, you're strong.
It's wildly entertaining and an absolute blast.
I'm in.
Novocaine, rated R, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I wasn't ready to die.
The wait is over.
I need to know what happened.
Discover the mystery everyone's been talking about. School Spirits, every episode of all seasons now streaming on Paramount Plus.
What's he like? The happy-faced killer?
You mean my dad? Be glad you never have to know.
You think that you're so much better than me. You're just like your old man.
I'm not like you at all.
Broke himself.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Mobland, new series now streaming on Paramount Plus.
She knows, and I know she knows. And that goes a little something like this. Here we go. Little something, little tune to play, make a good time
Breaking news in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers is going to be on a new team. After spending a very short time with the New York Jets, he will now be a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, confirming that news this afternoon. He is expected to sign a one-year contract ahead of mandatory minicamp. The Steelers last season going 10-7, losing to the Ravens in the wild card round. They're hoping Aaron Rodgers can get them a little bit further than that. Aaron Rodgers, of course, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, four-time NFL's most valuable player, now 41 years old, about to be a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Someone targeted our daughter.
What are we going to do about it? I've got an idea.
Let's go.
NCIS Tony and Ziva streaming this fall on Paramount Plus.
One of the best movies of the year is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
What are we dealing with here?
There's a hostage situation.
Get the crew in.
It's gripping from beginning to end.
We can't make one mistake.
September 5, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
The most original musical ever is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I'm just giving the people what they want.
Better Man absolutely sizzles from start to finish. Better Man now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is Chicago. Streets always gonna have a villain.
To protect the city, we have to do something. Women, it's time to get to work.
The Shot. New season streaming May 16th. Only on the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan.
These are the voyages of the Patrick Starship Enterprise.
Where's the sponge?
Weird dream.
Whether you like SpongeBob, Star Trek, or both, find your mountain on Paramount Plus. Hi.
Novocaine?
Novocaine!
Novocaine is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You're gonna love this.
Oh, you're strong.
It's wildly entertaining and an absolute blast.
I'm in.
Novocaine, rated R, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I wasn't ready to die.
The wait is over.
I need to know what happened.
Discover the mystery everyone's been talking about. School Spirits, every episode of all seasons now streaming on Paramount Plus.
What's he like? The happy-faced killer?
You mean my dad? Be glad you never have to know.
You think that you're so much better than me. You're just like your old man.
I'm not like you at all.
Problem solved.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Mobland, new series now streaming on Paramount Plus.
She knows, and I know she knows. And that goes a little something like this. Here we go. Little something, little tune to play, make a good time
We continue this big breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. Aaron Rodgers about to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. That is the latest from our Jonathan Jones. Plans to fly to Pittsburgh, put pen to paper just in time for next week's mini camp. The four-time MVP trying to bounce back from a career worst in losses, yards per attempt, and passer rating last season with the Jets. He did finish the season strong, however, with 18 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions over the final 10 games of the season. So we talked a lot about what it took for Aaron Rodgers to get to this point, but now what does it mean for your fantasy teams? For more on that, let's welcome in Dave Richard. A lot to unfold. We were trying, we know DK Metcalf in the receiving corps. We were trying to remember who else was there because it's a little questionable. But let's start with Aaron Rodgers. Is this a quarterback in this situation that you would draft, and if so, where?
He last averaged north of 20 fantasy points per game in 2021.
Oh,
I'm going to take a hard pass on Aaron Rodgers. I think I could literally name 20 other quarterbacks I'd rather draft. This is for people in superflex leagues. They take one quarterback early. They're going to wait and wait and wait to get that second quarterback. Rodgers makes sense there because you can start 2 quarterbacks because you can figure that he'll play all 17 games. But I wouldn't expect him to throw a ton. Arthur Smith is still the offensive coordinator. He's been coaching up offenses for 6 years now. Only once in those 6 years has he thrown the ball more than 60% of the time. So it's never even been a crazy pass-heavy offense. I think Rodgers is actually going to like the change of pace, that he's not going to have to throw the ball 32 times a game.
Okay, so we'll look at the receivers here in a little bit, but does that lead me to believe, I mean, should you look at the running backs a little bit more with this Steelers team?
I think Caleb Johnson's going to be an interesting name on draft day. Obviously, the Steelers love him. Arthur Smith just glowed about his explosiveness when he talked about him a month ago after the draft. I think Caleb Johnson's somebody, especially in half PPR leagues, non-PPR leagues, you can look him up in the middle of the round, and he could end up being a number 2 fantasy running back for you. He could score a bunch of touchdowns. You know the Steelers are going to come off the bus running. You know the offensive line is better than it's been. Caleb Johnson's going to end up being their best running back in fantasy. It's going to be close between him and Jaylen Warren in full PPR because Warren catches the ball so much, and there will be a split there. But I think Jaylen Warren is like destined for 10 PPR points per game. That's okay as a flex. Caleb Johnson, probably a touchdown-needy fantasy running back, but one who could still get 15-plus carries. Again, this is Arthur Smith's offense. He loves to run the football. He'll let Aaron Rodgers throw it a little bit, but you look at that receiving core, you look at the pace that they'll play at, I think it'll be pretty slow. Just makes all the sense in the world that they'll lead with the run game. Caleb Johnson certainly is going to be the guy leading that way.
What about DK Metcalf? What do you do with him?
I think you had the exact same expectations for DK Metcalf as you've had for DK Metcalf his entire career. And listen, DK Metcalf, every year of his career, he's averaging at least 7 targets per game. Only once has he averaged more than 15 PPR points per game, Amanda. He actually got off to that type of stuff. Only once has he done it. He's been in the 13-point range, 14-point range. I think you draft him as a high-end number 3 receiver. You know, we saw Aaron Rodgers connect with Devontae Adams when he and Adams were both on the Jets. It was almost 18 PPR points per game for Adams. Remember Adams, by the way, as a good fantasy pick this year. Garrett Wilson was under 15 PPR points per game. He was around 14 and a half, I believe. He was a top 24 fantasy wide receiver by default. I think that's the expectation for DK Metcalf. Again, the Steelers are not going to throw the ball a ton. They're not going to throw it as much as the Jets did. And I think you're going to see DK Metcalf lead them in targets, but not necessarily be an awesome fantasy receiver. He never really has been that guy. And so with Rodgers now as his quarterback, and Rodgers now compared to Rodgers 3 or 4 years ago, different quarterbacks, I would look at DK as a number 3 receiver. That's it.
So how far down in the draft would you take him?
DK Metcalf?
There, yeah.
Like round 5, round 6, somewhere in that type of range.
And hopefully we've taken a couple others ahead of him before that.
I mean, listen, if you like to draft running backs, I certainly like to do that, and you take a tight end early on, you're going to see DK Metcalf staring you in the face in like round 5, round 6, like I said, and you're going to love it because you just figure 7 targets per game. There aren't going to be a lot of wide receivers when you get to 70th overall in your draft that are going to get that type of production from week to week.
And this is no offense to the Steelers. Congratulations on getting Aaron Rodgers. We are all very excited for you. You are not making me excited about anyone on this Steelers team when it comes to fantasy. Is there a sleeper that you like? Anybody that gives you a little bit of hope here?
Okay, listen, if you want to draft Pat Freiermuth, that's cool. I don't know if you'd want to put him on your bench to be your number 2 fantasy tight end, and he plays the Jets in week 1. Obviously, you know about that Rodgers-Jets matchup. I don't love that matchup for Freiermuth, so I might pass on him. I do love, I'm glad you asked me that. I love Roman Wilson. He was the rookie receiver last year. He's a great route runner.
Haven't heard his name all that much.
Rodgers will love the route running ability and the hands that Roman Wilson will give him. He will learn to be in the right place at the right time. For Aaron Rodgers, more of a slot receiver than anything else. If the Steelers don't add anybody else, you can remember Roman Wilson with your last pick on draft day.
And you got your schedule already.
Oh, yeah. Right
He
here.
walks around with his schedule, looking at it. Every team who they're playing every single
Jets,
week.
Seahawks, Patriots, Vikings, bye.
We're about to talk to Sia about betting the season now with the Steelers. Jets, Steelers, week 1. Who are you taking?
I'm taking the under.
Okay,
That's what I'm
let's
taking.
go with that. We'll
That's
go with
easy.
the under. Fantasy football today, yes, it is getting closer and closer. Watch Dave's lovely face. You could listen to it, but, you know, scan the QR code. Take a look. Coming up next here on CBS Sports HQ, okay, how do you bet the Steelers now this season that they are about to have Aaron Rodgers? We're going to ask Sia Najad that on the other side.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
and rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals!
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns and an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Someone targeted our daughter.
What are we going to do about it? I've got an idea.
Let's go.
NCIS Tony and Ziva streaming this fall on Paramount Plus.
One of the best movies of the year is now streaming on Paramount Plus. What are we dealing with here?
There's a hostage situation.
Get the crew in. It's gripping from beginning to end.
We can't make one mistake.
September 5, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
The most original musical ever is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I'm just giving the people what they want.
Better Man absolutely sizzles from start to finish. Better Man now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is Chicago. Streets always gonna have a villain.
To protect the city, we have to do something. Women, it's time to get to work.
The Shot, new season streaming May 16th, only on the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan.
These are the voyages of the Patrick Starship Enterprise.
Where's the sponge?
Weird dream.
Whether you like SpongeBob, Star Trek, or both, find your mountain on Paramount Plus.
Hi. Novocaine?
Novocaine!
Novocaine is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You're gonna love this.
Oh, you're strong!
It's wildly entertaining and an absolute blast.
I'm in.
Novocaine, rated R, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I wasn't ready to die.
The wait is over.
I need to know what happened.
Discover the mystery everyone's been talking about. School Spirits, every episode of all seasons now streaming on Paramount Plus.
What's he like? The happy-faced killer?
You mean my dad? Be glad you never have to know.
You think that you're so much better than me. You're just like your old man.
I'm not like you at all.
Problem solved.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Mobland, new series now streaming on Paramount Plus.
She knows, and I know she knows. And that goes a little something like this. Here we go. Little something, little tune to play, make a good time
Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. Aaron Rodgers changing his team colors yet again. Yes, finally, the wait is over. He is going to be a member of the Steelers. That is according to our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. Apparently, the contract information has been there. It's just taken time for him to decide to actually fly there and sign the deal. Apparently, he plans to fly to Pittsburgh, put pen to paper just in time for next week's mandatory minicamp. Four-time MVP trying to bounce back from a very bad season, career worst in losses, yards per attempt, passer rating last year with the Jets. Did finish the season strong, however. Our Pete Briscoe pointed that out. 18 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions over the final 10 games of the season. Odds for the Steelers to miss the playoffs, -210. They did make it last year, however, they lost to the Ravens in the wild card round. Over 8.5 wins gets you a little plus money at +125. Last season, they went 10-7. Let's welcome in Sia Najad, who was only supposed to be here to fill in for Katie Mox later in the day, but now we're putting you to work in the middle of the day with this Aaron Rodgers news.
Give me all the NFL all the time. That like 365. I'm here for it.
We will do all of it. We will do all of Aaron Rodgers and all of the Steelers right now. We're going to go over the course of the season. Let's take a look, though, at week 1, because it is very ironic, if you will, that they are playing the Jets week 1. As of right now, getting 3.5. Would you feel comfortable laying that with the Steelers.
Yeah, 3.5 is an interesting number. By the way, script writers. Everybody that believes in script writers, like that's where we're at right now.
Okay, this number's 3. I don't know if that makes a difference.
3 does make a difference. So we take the hook away, and I actually like laying the points here. This is a game, correct me if I'm wrong, this one's on the road. I don't know what the Jets are doing with the quarterback position, but they seem to be solidified in Justin Fields being their quarterback. And I just love the stability. I actually like this for Aaron Rodgers, too, the stability of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to an organization that has a pretty good, they've upgraded their running game. They continue to upgrade their defense. I think this Jets team is a complete mess. I know 3 points on the road week 1. It's probably not something people are going to want to do, but I think Rodgers is going to be ready. The Steelers are always ready. I'm going to lay the points. I think they win this by 4 or more.
So as we mentioned, they went 10-7 last season and made the playoffs. Looking at their schedule, though, if we're doing win total, set at about 8.5 right now. And you said not a lot of people are loving that. Maybe it's going to make a difference with Aaron Rodgers, but you're really focused on the beginning of the season, which gets you to a bet for the season.
It's unpopular to pick the Pittsburgh Steelers over, and we know that because the market says it's plus 125 over 8.5 wins. But I'm all about creating momentum. Now, you've created this stability, or at least the perceived stability, with Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position, as opposed to like a Mason Rudolph. You get to play the Jets. I do emphasize get to play the Jets week 1. You get the Seahawks at home, and I don't know that we exactly know what the Seahawks experience is going to be like with this new quarterback in charge there in Seattle. And then you get the Patriots. A lot of people are up on the Patriots, and I totally understand that. But I'm not as big on the Patriots as everybody else. So I think that's a winnable game as well. I'm not saying they're going to be 3-0 at that point, but you look at the rest of the games down the schedule. Then you get the Vikings. I think that one is at home. Then you get a bye week, and I think that's probably a good time for them to have a bye. And then their next game is against the Browns. So I think you could have a 3-2 or maybe even a 4-1 to start off the season. And yes, the back half of the schedule, it is daunting, 100%. But these are also division games that the Steelers typically keep very close. So I think they can steal some on the back end too. I'm getting plus 125 with at least a reliable quarterback in Aaron Rodgers pre-snap, a reliable quarterback, a guy that's going to be kind of know what he's doing. I question their offensive group. I question the offensive line. I question the receivers. But I think over 8.5 at plus 125 is the play.
Okay, a little bit positive there. I'm not sure, though, when it comes to the division, if you're as positive about the Steelers. Already shaking your head. I'll give you the odds just for you guys at home. Ravens minus 135, Bengals plus 200. Steelers, it is good value at plus 550, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not assuming you think it's going to happen.
No, I mean, I think the Ravens, listen, if you wanted me to pick an AFC champion, it's probably going to be the Ravens. So I just think they're in a tough spot in a tough division. Yeah, the Browns are a bit of a layup, but the Bengals are going to be a good team in spite of the fact that their defense is going to be very questionable. This is just the wrong division to be in. You put the Steelers in the NFC South and we're having a different conversation, but I'm not even going to take the plus 550. If you want plus money on the Steelers, I'll tell you what, instead of taking the over 8.5 wins, take the over 9.5 wins. That's 10 wins is still not going to win the division, but you'll still get a good plus money, probably in that plus 200-ish range.
They did finish second in that division last year. The one more bet I want to ask you about is a little bit curious. I don't know what the other side of it is. It was to miss the playoffs, was like minus 210 or something.
Yeah.
Knowing Mike Tomlin, knowing his records there, I mean, I'm assuming the other side of it is a plus number.
Yeah.
Is that a bet maybe you would take to make the playoffs?
Pretty good plus number. I would be more settled in on taking the over 8.5 because I think they can get to 9 wins and still miss the playoffs. So that's where I'd want to be. Listen, I don't want to doubt this Pittsburgh team. I still think their defense is going to be extremely formidable. Got some new pieces on offense. You still have Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin, like you said. I think they could make the playoffs. I'm not willing to put my money on it, though.
Okay, so take the win total right there. Go over the plus 8.5. Sia, thank you so much. Was that enough NFL talk for you?
No,
I know it was kind of short.
No, it wasn't. We got to go another couple
We've got the season coming up, though, and I'm sure they get into plenty of early leans and stuff like that on the Early Edge podcast. Make sure to check it out. Coming up, still more Aaron Rodgers talk here, but we're going to take a look at it from a front office perspective. Rand Carthon is going to join us. What was the holdup? Is it a concern for the team?
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Someone targeted our daughter.
What are we going to do about it? I've got an idea.
Let's go.
NCIS Tony and Ziva streaming this fall on Paramount Plus.
One of the best movies of the year is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
What are we dealing with here? There's a hostage situation. Get the crew in.
It's gripping from beginning to end.
Weekend made a blunt mistake.
September 5, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
The most original musical ever is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I'm just giving the people what they want.
Better Man absolutely sizzles from start to finish. Better Man now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is Chicago. Streets always gonna have a villain.
To protect the city, we have to do something. Women, it's time to get to work.
The Shy, new season streaming May 16th, only on the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan.
These are the voyagers of the Patrick Starship Enterprise.
Where's the sponge?
Weird dream.
Whether you like SpongeBob, Star Trek, or both, find your mountain on Paramount Plus.
Hi. Novocaine?
Novocaine!
Novocaine is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You're gonna love this.
Oh, you're strong!
It's wildly entertaining and an absolute blast.
I'm in.
Novocaine, rated R, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I wasn't ready to die.
The wait is over.
I need to know what happened.
Discover the mystery everyone's been talking about. School Spirits. Every episode of all seasons now streaming on Paramount Plus.
What's he like? The happy-faced killer?
You mean my dad? Be glad you never have to know.
You think that you're so much better than me. You're just like your old man.
I'm not like you at all.
Problem solved.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Mobland, new series now streaming on Paramount Plus.
She knows, and I know she knows. And that goes a little something like this. Here we go. Little something, little tune to play, make a good time
Breaking news, CBS Sports HQ, Aaron Rodgers. Well, he's got a flight to book. Honestly, him like he's going to have a private jet, right? He's going to head to Pittsburgh and put pen to paper to become a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That has been confirmed by our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. Apparently, the contract details kind of have been there, but it depended on Aaron Rodgers' schedule when he was ready to become a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now it will happen before next week's mandatory minicamp. Let's welcome in Rand Carthon, former GM. So I want to take a look at this from a front office perspective because, you know, we were talking about this leading up to the draft. He needs to tell the Steelers what he's going to do before the draft so they know who they need to draft. Do they need to draft a quarterback? What do you think has kind of been going on in the background?
I think personally, I think they've kind of always understood and had an agreement that whenever he was ready to sign, that he would have a home in Pittsburgh. So I think they just kind of always had that agreement, kind of knew where they were headed, but it was just a matter of how it fit into Aaron Rodgers' schedule. And like he's talked about before, things he had going on in his personal life that needed addressing.
So how do you feel that he is now a member of the Steelers? I mean, does it make that much of a difference for this team? Obviously, he's a better quarterback than maybe what they were dealt with beforehand when he got there. But how do you think he's going to fit in with this team?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, for me personally, I'm just glad that they have their quarterback and that this Aaron Rodgers saga is kind of over. Now, there are going to be things to come in the coming weeks and the coming months that will lead to us jumping on and talking, you know, here in the near future. But I think the big thing for him is now getting into that building and getting acclimated with his new teammates and establishing himself as a leader. I mean, you have guys that have been there, that have always been there, the TJ Watts, the Cam Wards. And so he's got to now come in and assimilate assimilate, if you will, because what we have in our league right now is it's naturally whomever the starting quarterback is going to be is generally going to be voted captain. But when you have a guy of his stature and the guy that's had some of the things he's had in the past, like, he has to come in and assimilate and become a part of this culture and this organization.
How well do you think he's going to do that? I mean, when he left, oh my God, where did Aaron Rodgers play for a zillion years? When he left the Packers, I mean, he hadn't played in a preseason game for a while, and then we got with the Jets. There was a question of a matter of, you know, how much does he go along with that veteran status, and how much does he try to assimilate himself with the Jets? What work needs to be done, do you think, with the Steelers? You touched on it a little bit there, but how much does he need to get in with his team to show that he's their quarterback?
I think it's paramount, you know, because again, it's the nature of the position. We always talk about how much this position is getting paid, and this is the position that touches the ball every snap of the game. And so it's going to be paramount for him to get in and assimilate, like I said before. But to me, the big thing and the key thing is getting in and learning this offense and learning what Arthur Smith is looking for out of the position. But then also, you got to understand where Aaron Rodgers has been. He's been in Green Bay. He's been at the Jets. And in both of those places, he's had input in the offensive scheme and his system and the type of things that they're going to do and the type of players that they even bring in, for that matter. And I don't think he's going to have as much of that at Pittsburgh as he's had in the past. And so how is that going to work for him in a new organization?
Kind of give us your outlook now for the Steelers. I mean, we talked about this with a couple of different people. They went 10-7 last year. They did make the postseason. Their win total is set at 8.5. Sia, we just had him on. He said, I would go over that. Pete and BMAC said, look, I think they're going to be good. This is not a Super Bowl team. Maybe they'll make the playoffs. What is your prediction for the Steelers?
I mean, Mike Tomlin, as your head coach, who's never had a losing season, I think you kind of automatically come in with at least 8 wins. Right, but I also think that there's going to be room in there to win a couple games. Like you said, they were a 10-win team last season, and kind of, you know, a team that was just okay. It wasn't their best body of work, but again, we're talking about Mike Tomlin and a Mike Tomlin-led football team and how he's able to maximize everyone's potential. So I do see them having a winning record, whether that's a 9-win or 10-win season. I do think 10 wins is probably the cap, but I place a lot of that more so on Mike Tomlin and what he's been able to do with that organization.
A couple weeks ago, you were talking about your concern about him not being at OTAs. Can all of that now be swept under the rug?
Oh, it will be. You know, it will be. He's there, and now he gets to be in there. And, like, let's not kid ourselves. We all have opinions. Myself and a lot of people have opinions of who and what we think Aaron Rodgers is. But from what I've been able to gather, like, Aaron Rodgers is a good teammate. Guys on the team love him. And so he's going to be a likable guy in the locker room. And again, he's Aaron Rodgers. He's a Super Bowl winner. He's a multi-time MVP. And a lot of these players that he's going to be playing with in the locker room have grown up through the game, looking up to him, have played with him on Madden, and now he gets to be their teammate. So I think these guys will naturally gravitate to him.
Rand, we appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. We like your T-shirt as well, my friend. A little Guns N' Roses there for you. With the First Pick podcast, talking about the NFL draft, go over what the Steelers did, take a look at how some of those rookies may be doing during the regular season.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns and an epic matchup between the